Hey, happy Halloween, everybody. And thanks for joining me on for another live coding session. I'm tuned in to RabbitWorks JavaScript, and we're going to be working on some more Vue.js projects. And last time where we left off, today I was adding in these completed checkboxes and the completed property as well. And so we're going to keep going on that and do a completed for the task and add some more functionality in as we go along. So check all the buttons. So basically we're going to have a couple buttons on here, and we'll have a check all button, delete the task button, which we haven't really focused on at all. We've just been focused on adding, but we also have to remember we're going to delete tasks too at some points. And then edit additional details button, and then edit mode for steps on double click, dual bull click. And we're just gonna go down the list and see how far we get. Alright, again, you're turning into RabbitWorks JavaScript live coding. The music is brought to you unofficially by freeCodeCamp Radio. And let's get started. I will post the GitHub repo link in the chat if anybody wants to take a look at it. And again, happy Halloween. Okay, so let's take a look really quick at our components and see where we're at. And so our task details component. Alright, so here's our additional details div right now, and I think we're going to break it out into its own component and pass the info in as slots. But for now, let's just see what we're going to do here. And so what we want to do is let's just see. We're passing in all the props right now, so let's look at our task list component. I'm just gonna make that there we go. Okay, so if we look at this whole thing right here, we have the completed false in there, and then we have the step completed properties. And what we want to do is set up a computed property that will basically keep an eye on these guys, and if all three of them or all of the step completed properties in the steps array for that current task are set to true, then this completed property will be set to true. So basically, if all of our steps are complete, the task will be complete. Cool. And so what we're gonna do in order to do that is do it in the the computed property. So right above our methods, I'm going to add in the computed. And that's just a property that has an object, and then in here it's basically where we're going to write our functions that will act as computed properties. So I believe what we want to do let's see, so we want to check if these step completed properties are true or false. And so what we're gonna have to do is write a function, and it's gonna be called check step completion. And in there I'm just still getting the hang of computed properties as well, so this could be way a train wreck, but we'll just have to see what happens. And so check step completion, and what we want to do is say refer to the docs first of all, just so we know, have some sort of guide on in case we make any mistakes. And nope, not this one. We need computed properties. Maybe we need to use the watch property, because we're not doing this kind of stuff. Let's see. Watchers. There's a watcher. And let's see, so watch is right here, question, function, new question, old question, blah 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 blah. So basically it watches these properties, or whatever property you have set, and checks. So how are we gonna do that? So let's just get rid of this guy. This is just taking up unnecessary space. And if we say oh, we're not in the, we need to set this as watch, so we're not doing a computed property anymore. So let's see. Oh, okay, let's just get rid of that. So watch, we're gonna have function, and let's just say console.log test. I just want to see, so if this runs on each of them, okay, let's say step completed. No, So this one, it takes 2 arguments. It takes the new one and the old one. So what do we pass in as an argument? Oh, that would probably help if we were running the right app. So let's just npm run dev, spin up our server. Alright, let's see what we have now. Console. Okay, clear that out. So let's, why is that running 3 times? It's console logging for each one. Well, okay, so well, let's see. Details. So it's not running. Let's see. We have in that. Alright, try one more time and then I'm not gonna spend any more time on it. Try another method. Is that what we're trying to get from 73 from task list? 83 is coming from this. Okay, so we're not gonna do that. I'm not sure. I have to do some more research on that too. But so what I want to do in lieu of that is just write a method. So we'll do toggles check steps completed. And what we want to say is it's broken on 82. Okay, so we'll say since this is an array, console log, and we'll just console log this. I just want to get a context. Check steps completed. So when we run this, we'll just do it each time. This dot Okay, so view component, and we'll see this dot so this dot details undefined. So we have to go and find it. This dot task list. And then we'll pass in the index. And then in this, we'll just pass the I in right there for index. And let's see. What do we call it? Oh, details steps. This dot task list I. .details.steps completed. Task list.details. Task list I.details.steps. Oh, steps is an array. We could probably write this in this thing itself, but we'll see. Okay, so what we gotta do is grab these so let's see. I throw a for each on there. Let's see, these are objects. So we'll do the steps. Not this array, so steps I. We don't need that index. Step for each. And then it's gonna be step. And then we were gonna say in the body, we're gonna wanna console.log step completed, just to see where we're at. So need to turn off all these console logs. And right here. Okay. So clear the console, and if we look at what happens when we click our completed checkbox, and it just fills up with a bunch of crap. I'm not sure why all of this is running so many times, but I'm not really sure where all the logs are coming from. There we go. Okay, so let's say let's just so many console.logs, but we're just gonna say a bunch of stars so we have some significance there, so we can tell where it starts and ends in the log. So if we click one now, true, false, false, true, false, false. True, true, false, true, true, false. Alright, cool. So now that we're for eaching that, what we're gonna say is if this dot, or let's see, steps dot I don't know if we're gonna have to do that, so let's see. So we're gonna say if each or are we gonna even need to for each it? What do we want to say? Let's just try. I wonder if we were to reduce it, what it would bring it down to. Reduce array true false. Alright, the every array or every method. Every, or can it take just an anonymous function? Array.prototype. Yeah. Oh wait, let's see. So we can probably just throw that in there. So let's say instead of steps for each, we're gonna say every. Let's get rid of this arrow function. Every step completed. What is that gonna give us? Oh, let's close that tab. Let's close this tab. Look at this. See what that gives us. Step is not defined. Every step completed. So let's see. It's saying step is not defined. Do we need to include steps since we're calling it down steps? Because we're not doing a for each. Let's see. Let's look at this. Alright, so this is the array. And then what we're checking for is an element callback element index array disarg. Let's see. So if I pass in this whole thing, oops, no, not that. Let's see if that works. Undefined is not a function. Okay, so I think we need to pass in a callback function. So function, and then let's just say that steps completed. equals true. Not read property task list of undefined. Steps is not defined. Steps is not defined. Okay, so let's see. Don't think that's working quite right. Let's see. So in this, it's passing a function, a named function in. But if we look in this, is below threshold, array, we must pass the index in implied. I need a better example of that. Nice. Nope. All right, let's see. Function, item, index, array. All right, let's try. Just gonna try a regular old for loop and see what happens. Alright, I'm just starting to confuse myself at this point. So we're just gonna side step this for the time being. And what I want to do though, for sure, there, okay, so let's see. So let's look at this task details thing really quick, and what I want to do in this part is add in a double click to edit feature kind of deal. And so what we're gonna have to do that is in this area right here, this step content, we're gonna have to add another div underneath it, and this one's gonna have the class of step content edit, and then we gotta set up the show directive. We don't have a property for this, but it's gonna be let's just say edit mode. And then let's just say not edit mode so we can see it for the time being. Let's just see if we can see anything in there. Okay, so it's right there. And okay. If we look at what this is right here, it is, we don't have anything in there, so what we'll do is in this one we're going to put an input, and it's going to be a text. And then we won't need a name. And I don't think we're going to need an ID either, but what we will need to do is we're going to have to set the value. It's going to be equal to, we're going to v-bind that, and we're going to have to bind it to the step.value. Step.value. Okay, so it's in there. Cool. And then what we also have to do is set up so since we're passing this info as a prop, we're gonna have to send it back to the parent, which is the task list, and we're gonna be updating this part right here. And then so let's add in we're gonna have to add in our edit mode property. Basically, when we double click this, it'll show this and not this. We want to do it in place of this. Okay, so we'll probably just have to put it in our steps array, our steps object. we'll put it underneath this, so edit mode is false. A comma, not semicolon. And let's just put it in all three of them. So we have consistency, false, and one more. Edit mode, false. Okay, so just taking a look at things. I'm gonna have to clean up the comments pretty quick here, but basically what we want to do is in our task details component, we're gonna sit what we want to do is put the event listener on this guy, I believe. Steps, let's see. No. We'll put the event listener on this guy right here. So what we need is a method and an event listener. So right here on our step content div, let's add the click listener directive. We're going to set that to enable edit mode. And down here we can write that method now, so enable edit mode, and that's going to be a function. And what is that going to do? It's going to it's going to have to set this edit mode as true. Wonder if we can just set that edit mode in here. We'll probably just do that. Let's see. Edit mode false. No, we won't be able to do that because we need it for each one, right? And we can't. I don't know. Let's not do that. So enable edit mode. We're gonna have to say event bus dot emit $emit. Enable edit mode is the name we're going to be calling it, and we have to pass that in as a string, and then the next parameter is going to be the arguments we pass in with it, or the data. So it's going to be this I and ID parameter again. So we need to pass in the index and the ID of the task. Index of the step, ID of the task. And with that, of course, we need to pass them in as parameters as well. And if we go up here, we pass them in our click listener. We're passing in so it's the index and then underscore ID, same as right here. Okay, so if we have that running now, and we go to our task list and we write on the created lifecycle hook right here another event listener. We're listening for an event using the on method, and then the name of our event is enable edit mode, and then oops, we're passing in again the index ID, same as we are up here, so we'll keep it consistent. And then what do we want to do on that? We're basically going to do the same thing as we're just going to say we're going to grab this whole thing right here and set it in this, so it's this.taskList ID. So we're gonna have to pass in these guys as well. And the ID. Just a bunch of copying and pasting, but I'll go through it in just a second. It's basically a toggle function. So it says that this task list ID that we're passing in with the edit enable mode event listener or custom event, so the ID of that task and then the details inside that, the steps, and then the index of which step we're on, and then the property of not step completed, but we're going to be changing that to edit mode equals and then we're not going to want to toggle it, actually we're just going to want to set it to true in this case. So if we double click on that, it pulls up right there. Cool. And we have our value, and if we click, we want to click out anywhere out, and then it'll go back to this essentially. But so really quick, let's go to our task detail and we can set the vShow directive on this as well. Okay, so let's break this out a little bit since we're getting a few different attributes on here, and we'll do the vShow directive on this div as well, and it's going to be step.edit mode. But on this one, instead of saying show if it's true, we're going to say show if it's false, and we do that with the exclamation mark. And so if we look at that, we're going to have to change some styling a little bit just so this takes up a default size that we want. And what we could do should be able to change this too. We could click on it and like set it as not important anymore, but nah, I don't know. And just start with editing it for now. And cool, so we gotta be able to switch that back now too. So let's grab this input Actually, let's take a look at the markup and see how big this is. Alright, so step content edit. If we look down at our styles, step content right here, let's just duplicate this and we can just say dash edit. Oop. And then what we'll do is step content edit input width, and let's try 100%. Alright, cool. Let's try 95, just give it a little bit of space. Cool. And so you see when we click on all of them, they all switch over to that. The input field. Sweet. And let's see, where are we at with this? Let's drop this back just a bit. Just wanna play around with the styling. Okay. And let's see, so what we want to do is be able to click out of it. And so let's see what view events. Oops. I want to see what the list of them are. So we have access to all in Vue we have access to all the JavaScript events that we would normally have access to, so let's just look at that. JavaScript event. Alright. Event reference. Load, cached, error, unload, online, focus, event focus. Let's see, blur. Blur's event is fired when an element has lost focus. The main difference between this event and focus out is that the latter bubbles. Alright, so we could try that. So if we say, if we set up an event listener on this and we say at blur equals I'm curious, just really quick, to see what error it throws when I do this. Let's give it a refresh, double click, and it doesn't throw an error. What the hell? Step dot edit mode equals true. Well, look at that. Okay, sweet. So let's get rid of this thing and see if it still works. Let's refresh it and we click out. The out doesn't work. Let's see. So we're going to set this as false. Let's see if that works. give it a refresh, click on it, click out. So that's not, oh. So it needs to be okay, so what's going on here is that if you notice how I click on one and I click off right away, it's not unsetting because we're not focused on it, and this is a blur event, so it's fired because when we're click on it again we have the cursor in there. So what we need to do is set the focus to true. So that when and then we want, instead of this just being a click, we want it to be a double click. So we have to double click it, and then we want the focus to be true. So if we just say something like focused, I don't know if that works or not. No, focus. Let's see. Autofocus. Text autofocus. How do I make a field autofocus? That sounds like a good question. Is there an easy way to do it? Well, probably not, but we're going to give you an answer anyways. And JavaScript autofocusers will work, but can be annoying for some users. For example, if you focus a different field while a page is still loading, JavaScript may help you by moving to the focus and make you type in the wrong field. Okay. Dot focus. So let's see. Let's see if I can set autofocus. Okay. And it's not even in this. This is the incorrect div. We need to be in this one. So let's actually break this out a little bit just so we can see everything. And just give it a little bit better readability. And then we want to set this input, and we're just going to set the attribute to autofocus. And with that, I think that should do it. So let's give it a shot. Double click. Okay. And then we auto click it. Perfect. Let's see. Try it again. No. That might be fine though. We might just want to be able to. Let's see. So when we double click it, we're gonna edit this, and then when we click out of it, we want to be able to save. And I guess we don't necessarily need the autofocus on there, because if we're just gonna edit it, we're already gonna be focused on it. not really sure if that's even working, to be honest. No dock for autofocus. And let's just keep going. So what we want to do now is when we click or click off of this with the change, let's see. So we're gonna have to have a data property. We're gonna have to set a V model to that, and the data property is gonna be called info blah 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 change step text. Okay, and then on this input we're gonna set the vModel directive to that data property. And it is called change step text. This dot change step text, I think. I don't know, what is it yelling at me for? Let's see. Let's see, where is it at? Step.value conflicts with the vModel on the same element because the latter already expanded to a value binding internally. Okay, so it's saying that because we have this right here, it's not letting us do a vModel. So what we want to set here, maybe we can just set it as string interpolation. Nope. So how do we work around that? Do we need this event? Alright, let's see. And how are we gonna get around that? So we have to bind the value. What if we bind the placeholder as that? No, we don't want to do that. We want to bind the value of it, vModel. What if we set step dot value? Is that gonna edit us? Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oh, perfect. I guess that's all we need to do. Set a vModel on the prop that we're passing in. That's editing it in the parent component. Well, we can confirm that by using the dev tools, the Vue dev tools. We look at right here, inspect, nope. Vue.js is detected, so let me open with the Vue inspector. Task list, open that up. Task details, open that up. That's that data property we added but we're not using. But if we look at our task list, details, steps, object, value, and if we double click that and do changing the value, excellent, sweet. So we don't even need to do a custom event in order to do that. So I wonder if we even need to do this then. So let's check that out. So right here is where we're pulling that event from, and if we say that steps is passing in as an array, and then in our task list we have the step completed property. So step completed equals not step completed. Oops. And let's just see what that gives us. And if we pull up the Vue dev tools, look a little closer, and that's changing the value, step completed. No, so it's not changing it. Let's try taking that off again. Refresh it. We only do it once. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. And some more blahs. If we look at the Vue dev tools, task list, or task, details, steps again, and in our object we have our values updating. Cool. Okay. Sweet. Cool. So we got that running. And that's just to edit it in there. And I think what we should do now is something simple. And we're just gonna take this additional details component and break it out into its own component. So in here, our components, add a new folder, and we're gonna call it additional details. And we gotta put that in there, the task details, and everything's broken again. Oops, And let's actually pull this out. So instead of additional details, we're going to call it task list. And then we'll probably put so we'll start by putting the task list in there, and then we'll put the task details in there. We'll have to link everything back up properly. But I'm going to take a couple minute break, get the blood flowing, do some stretching, moving around, use the restroom, get a drink of water, all that good stuff. Happy Halloween. You're tuned into RabbitWorks JavaScript. We're going to keep going for a little bit longer this evening, and I'll be back in just a few. am back, and we're back at it for a little bit longer this evening. And again, you're tuning in to RabbitWerks JavaScript live coding, and it is Halloween, and we are doing some spooky Vue.js, and you might have noticed that the break cards are the GitHub Halloween theme colors too. So, a little fun little tidbit there. I don't know, I appreciate it, so I hope you do too. And the next part, okay, so what we were doing is sending this to components into its own folder. We'll do that and see how many things break. And let's just go through this again one by one. And we're gonna have to reroute everything. Task list. Okay, so blah 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 blah. Okay, right here. So dot dot slash. Oops. Slash dot dot. And that should give us one level up. And then another level up. And then same thing for this. And the task details is actually going to be in the same folder, so we can keep that as that. Alright, let's move over to the task details, head down to our script tags, and again it's going to be dot dot slash main.js. Task list is in this folder, so we're good on that. And then the SVGs are gonna have to go up one folder now to the SVGs, and then that one. Okay, cool. And then let's look at, I think that's gonna be it, but no, let's take a look at our add steps and just see, oops, too far down. We're just importing add task to the add steps. That's okay. And let's just take a look at our add task. That's alright. Cool. So let's take a look at our application and see if it's still busted. No such file. Task list. And where is that main.js? Okay, so in our main.js folder or file, we have to correct this because this is not there anymore. And you know what? We don't even need that because we're not declaring that globally. And I could be way wrong. Let's see. So in our app.vue folder, right here is what it's talking about too. So our task list is now in our task dash list, and components task list. Yeah, we're not even importing that in this. So let's see, task list from, oh, let's see, yeah, in our components folder, task list, and then our task list.vue. Let's see what this is saying. Assets, angle, solid left. Okay, so task list, I believe it is, all the way up, and then right here it's giving us an error because I can't find that anymore, so we have to go / dot dot to go up a folder. So we're going up to the components folder, and then so into the task list, components, oh I'm sorry, components, source, assets, and then angle left. And we're back to good to go. Cool. Alright, so with that out of the way, now we can go in here and add a new file. We'll call it additional details.view. And then, so when we have a new view file, what we can do is if we just start to type scaffold or SC and we get the scaffold option, when we click that, it'll build out a template for us just really quick like that, really nice, so we don't have to worry about it. And then what we can do with that is in our details, right here, we're going to take this div that holds the card, and we're going to take it out of there and bring it into our additional details component. And then we'll just start typing out additional details. Additional details, yeah, okay. And then, so what we'll have to do is just pass in these two things as props. So we'll say props, and that's going to be an array, and we'll have two props in there, and it'll be do, and then the next is going to be contact. We have to pass them in as strings, and they got to match what we're passing in our template. Oops, not 6. Okay, so now with that out of there, what we can do is take this component that we've just created and register it on our task details component, and then we can pass it in right here as its own component. And so right under task list, we'll do import additional details from / additional details view. And then when we have that importing, now we have to register our component. And we'll go right here. And let's actually move this underneath the SVG just to keep it consistent. And in our components property, we'll add another property to this object, another component that we're going to register, and we're going to call it task dash additional dash details. And in this SVG, I prefixed it with this dot, or this app dash, and then this one I'm going to do it as task dash, and I think I might use this prefix as kind of a way to differentiate what sets of components they're coming from when there gets to be more components built together, because if everything's just prefixed with the same app dash kind of thing, then it's going to get really confusing on what components belong to what. So maybe it's just a case of just like, we're going to prefix everything with RabbitWorks dash, and then the component group, and then dash, and then the component itself. But that will be something I'll have to start at a different time when we are able to keep it more consistent throughout the project. So for now, I'm just going to try out this task to keep it in line with the task component that's a part of. And import that as additional details. And then with that registered, we'll go right here. We can actually clean this up a little bit. We don't need that much space. And then add that extra space right there. And we'll do task dash additional dash details, emit, and then boom. And then, so now that we have our component in place, we'll have to pass our props to it. And how we do that is with, we set, okay, so if we look at our additional details, we have two props we're passing in. It's do and contact. And so what we need to do is set these in inside the HTML or the markup tag. So then we'll bind to them. So check this out. So in our task details right here, we'll use the colon, which is the vbind shorthand. So vbind, and then we're gonna vbind the name of the prop that we're passing in. So I'll just delete the vbind part. So we'll do colon do is equal to, and it's gonna be step dot do, and we're gonna do the same thing for contact, and it's gonna be equal to see, same thing as we're doing here. So do and then contact, and so we're gonna have to pass that down again. Step.do and then step.contact, and with that it should be in place, so we'll just confirm that. Ooh, let's give it a refresh. Console, let's see what's going on. Cannot read property do of undefined. Step dot. Okay, so this is just the steps. We're not doing the step. It's not step, it's, let's see. Oh, we can just pass in, I think we could just pass it in like this. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, sweet. Let's clear that out, and if we look, we have our stuff. And now you see that the header has changed color again. We'll have to transfer our styles over, but that is pretty awesome. And I like this better than this. We'll have to change that. But so now that we have our props passed in correctly, let's take a look at this. And this can be maybe like 50% or something. I don't know. Because normally this isn't how it's going to be laid out on this screen size. Well, I guess this would be close to the tablet, but so about like this. But when we get to about here, it's going to do 3 fractionals, 2 fractionals in the grid. We're just having it styled like this so we can keep a dual monitor or dual split screen view kind of deal. Alright, so now we have everything being passed into our awesome task details component. Sweet. And so let's just see what happens if we try to add a new task now. So new task. Add some additional details like today's date, it's the 31st, and RabbitWerks, JavaScript, add task, happy Halloween, it's important, and then let's go ahead and give it a shot. We got our task in there, so that's a good sign. And it's in there. Sweet. Okay, so let's transfer over these styles. And we're gonna place that in our additional details view in our style tag. Then we got our styles back. Cool. Sweetness. And I'm gonna drop the font weight on this. Let's just do 300 additional details. Font weight or font size 1.5. That's a little big. Let's try 1.3. 1.35. Okay, I like that. Let's copy those styles and bring in those right here. There we go. And yeah, I don't know. We could even, I don't know. So it looks pretty cool, I think. Looks pretty good. We got our new stuff transferring in. And let's take a look at, close all these extra files out. Let's see. Nope, not this file. Let's see. We got this taken care of. Additional details to its own component. And let's, alright, so let's just go for it and double back to this completed thing. And so what do we want to do? We want to make sure that we got to check and make sure that if all three are checked, if all three are checked, then set something. So let's take a look at, we can close this out now. Let's close our work log out for the time being. Head up here, and this is the add steps component. We don't need to look at that. And take a look at here, and this is our task details component, and we don't even need this change step anymore. Okay, so let's see. What we need to look at is right here. Check steps completed. Let's see, JS check if all true. They write something like this, but I'm looking for a simpler all is true, some code. For var o in object, if not object O. Return false, return true. If not object, all true object, and this will return true if all values are true-ish, not necessarily equal to the Boolean value of true. Okay, so he's saying, okay, let's just get rid of all this mess right now and just start from scratch. And so we got our functions check step completed, passing in the object, the ID, and the index. If not I O, return false, else return true. Okay, I don't know if that's gonna work, but we'll just see what happens. I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Okay, let's try this again. So let's try a different one. Okay, so let's just pull up okay, so let's say let checked equal and then an array and let's grab this guy so we don't have to type that all out. So we're going to do this new array that I'm initializing, and then we're going to push the contents of the steps array to it. Dot dot dot. So the spread operator, we're going to spread into it. Let's see what that gives us. Oops. I'm going to go to the top. Console.log. And then, so let's run this really quick. Whoa. Excuse me. So let's refresh this. Empty array. Steps is not defined. Let's see if that worked. Okay, so we push that in. We got our objects. Okay, cool. Alright, refresh this and let's see what happens now. We got our objects in there. Edit mode, step complete. Okay, we're gonna just change up the name a little bit, just to be a little bit more explicit about what we're doing. Console log, so we have that in there properly now, and what we need to do is say if blah 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 blah, then blah. Okay. Alright, cool. So let's try right here. Actually, let's do some adjustments. Dot every, and that takes a callback. Let's just say step dot step completed equals true. And that's going to return true or false. Okay. And if we do all three of them, cool. So we have two trues for some reason. It's console logging it. There we go. Alright, so we click it 1,000 times, it's false. Click this one a bunch, click that, it's still always false. And then we click all three and it's true. And then, alright, so we'll change this to if. Oops. Go up there. This dot task list, and then we're passing in the ID dot completed equals true. Cool. And then if it's true, we want to set a property on it dynamically, and it's going to be on task.task, so task header, list group, it's going to be on the li, so underneath or above the class, actually we'll do a dynamic class binding, and then we're just going to feature code this really quick. So we're going to say task completed, and it's going to be set on task.completed. Okay, and then let's get the style built really quick. So we'll copy that, come down to our styles, and then right here above everything else we'll add that style rule in there, and inside that we're going to want to set the background color to not white, but we refer to our colors here. We will set it to, I don't know, we can try this bright green and then offset it with some alpha and see how that looks. Paste that, and then click on this, we get the different cycles of color descriptors, and then we can add the alpha in 0.5, and then let's see, so if we click and we'll look at that. Perfect, awesome, sweet. So now, and then we could probably strike that through, and then we'll say and this h3 tag, let's just drop this down, and then so we can put the dynamic style binding again on this. It's going to be an object, and we're going to set it as task completed. Let's do task-bg for background, and then we'll do the class for this one. We'll do task-title-completed, and then we'll set that to the same thing. It's going to be task.completed. And then, so if we build out this rule really quick, down here, right underneath task completed, and we'll have to change this to task-bg completed and task-title-completed, and we'll do text decoration, and it'll be strike through. What is it? I don't remember the last time I had to do this, so we'll see if it works. Okay, so strike through, line through, line through. There we go. I wonder if we could change the text decoration color. Text decoration color. Let's just do blue. See what that does. Nothing. What about? Let's look that up really quick and see what we have available to us. text decorator property, overline, underline, overline, blah blah blah. Sets the kind of text decorator use, sets the color of the text decoration, sets the style of this like solid wavy. I don't really like this website. It's not very useful for me in my style. It's a good website, but I just don't find it teaches me the way I need it to. So that's color. Let's just do and no, we'll do the teal. I need to break these into CSS variables at some point, so I can just start pulling from there. I know it's kind of hard to see, but what if we just did like a gray? A little bit off-white-ish gray. I don't know. What about darker? It's too dark, I think. Nope, 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 nope. Let's see. Okay. Something like that, maybe. We'll see. Alright, so we got. Let's refresh this. That, and that. It's done. I see it gets that dealy bob on there. I wonder if we can set the transition so it's animated on there. And this thing is called our card. No, let's see. It's our list item. Task. We'll give it another class name of task dash group. Yeah. And then that, I'm gonna come down here and just target that. Task group, and with that I want to set the transition, the transform, point 3. Let's see, 0.3 seconds. 2 seconds, and then use in out, and that's not a transform. We're gonna try all. So with that on there, and we refresh. Cool. We need to be able to. Oh, okay, so let's come back up to our check steps completed, and so right here we're checking if each step is step completed, then we set completed to true, else this dot task list, pass in the ID dot completed equals false. So we're setting it back to false if not all of the steps are completed, checked. So dum and see that. Sweet. Perfect. We'll have to animate this SVG at another point again. That's kind of bugging me. Whoa. Interesting. Let's try and refresh that and see if that bug happens again. Clicking. It seems to be responding the way it should. Looks alright to me. Alright, cool. And I think that is probably going to be a good spot to call it for the evening. And let's just refer back to the work logs to see what we got. We got our additional details component broken out into its own component, which is nested right here. And we're passing our information as props to it from the parent component of this component. So everything's getting passed in through our task list where our hard-coded data is for the time being. And we're passing in to our app task details all of our properties, passing them in as props. And if we look at the details, you can see that right here is where we pass them in, and then we call them up in our template. And then we also use this information that we're passing in. So the do and the contact info, we're passing that into this component, which is the child component of the current component that we're in, the task details. And those are set up as props inside there. So we're passing them 2 levels down in this case. Cool. And the work log, and so we have also edit mode for double click. Alright, so we got this done and we got this done. So next time we'll probably be working on adding some buttons to our task. Just some maintenance button kind of stuff. So maybe edit additional details kind of thing. We'll maybe put that in there. We'll see. Delete task and check all button. And then if this task is completed, we'll have if task complete archive task button. Cool. So we'll be able to archive it so we can refer back to our tasks, and then at some point down the road we're going to get it set database up. So we can use, I don't know, MongoDB that I have running on my computer. Otherwise we can use something simpler like TextDB. We could try and use MLabs, which is hosted, but I think, or we could just use something like local storage. I think for the time being we'll probably set up just using basic local storage, and then look into using MLab as maybe like a remote database to access from, so we can have our information shared across different devices with the same app. But that would require some type of like user management system, and that's getting involved a lot, and that's something that I've been thinking about adding in some sort of like login system and user system to this, because I've been following a video series by CJ of Coding Garden, and he is basically walking through for newbies step by step a really good guide to authorization and authentication. So depending on how that goes, we'll be able to add in some sort of login system and maybe make it a little bit more set up for multiple users. But for now, local storage is going to work just fine. And we're getting closer and closer to that. Everything's coming together nicely. And cool. So I think, again, that's going to do it for this evening. I'll push up and commit my code and push it up to the GitHub repository. And thanks so much for watching another live streaming session with RabbitWorks JavaScript. Happy Halloween. Thanks for tuning in with me on this All Hallows Eve. And feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, suggest, feedback, anything like that is welcome. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter at RabbitWerks.js or RabbitWerks.js. And cool. So yeah, I'll have this code pushed up by the end of the evening, and I think that'll do it. Alright, this is RabbitWorks JavaScript signing out. Everybody have a wonderful evening and stay awesome.